Hey everybody, welcome to Black Leather Couch. Today's guest is Fabian Rush. He's a writer, director, actor, producer, musician. I've known him for better than 10 years. We're really good friends, and we've worked together on a lot of projects, so I figured it was fitting that he be my first guest on my interview show. I learned a little bit about him, and hopefully you guys will learn a lot about him. But it was fun to do, and he's kind of helping me figure out the format with this first episode, so I hope everybody enjoys, and here we go.
That's the best part is it's podcasts and stuff like that. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Nice.
You can say fuck multiple times and no one gives a fuck.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
Yes.
Welcome to Black Leather Couch, episode
I just kind of worry about what I might say that will keep me from becoming president someday. I don't ever want to fucking be president.
Nobody wants.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst
He's
enemy.
aged like 300 years in the past.
I noticed. Have you noticed that too? When Obama went into office,
Yep.
he
all
was
do that.
young.
They all do that.
Yeah. Everybody that goes in looks so young, and when by the end of their term, they're all prunes.
Yep.
And he's had some rough days.
All right, well, I will get started then. You were born and raised here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In your house, in this
my
room, I was born on this couch.
Not in West Philadelphia.
You cleaned it up pretty nicely.
It is leather. It wipes off. No, because I remember when we met way back when. It was
Yes.
that was I was assuming that was where you were from.
Born and raised right here in Midlothian/Chesterfield, Virginia.
Did you do good in school, like high school and stuff?
In everything through high school, I did pretty all right. I was a B student. A's in science, C's in math, and here and there, everywhere else. I was a B student, and then in college I was A's because I became interested in the education is much awesomer on the college level because you get to hear about all the fun stuff that they can't tell you about
True.
in the undergraduate level.
I never went to college, so I don't know. I went to technical college, so yeah.
Yeah.
It's technically college.
Yeah. Yeah, college was amazing, and I feel like more students would probably be interested in going to college that are in the high school level, kind of on the fence about if they're going to go directly into career or continue with their education. I think for me, my parents had given me the push to continue on to college, and it was just.
Did they give you the money though?
They gave me the money for it too, and I was just assumed I would always go to college, but I didn't know college would be as amazing as it was, because when you're in high school and you're forced to read certain crap, and there's so much stuff that you learn that is in no way stuff that you will utilize in your future, that I thought college would be kind of boring, but it can be so much more specialized, and there's so many more things that you can go into depth on. Like, I became really fascinated by philosophy, science, religion, all these things in college, because they tell you all the things they're not allowed to say in high school.
The actual things that make you think.
Yes, like watching the Roman...
in regular school, they're just trying to get you through.
Exactly. You watch the Roman Empire fall in high school as this really boring thing that you have to learn to pass SOLs, which I think are a horrible enemy to the real education experience, because you're learning to pass a test, you're not really learning education. Whereas in college, you're not learning to take standardized tests, you are learning to take in knowledge.
Yeah, you're learning to learn.
And then you learn that the Roman Empire fell not because of A, B, C, or D on a test, but because
there's a lot of boy fucking going on.
That is one of the many elements. There is just a lack of
A lot of dirtiness.
You know what? We're actually repeating many of the mistakes now that they made in Roman education. We repeat mistakes in our history, and I think on the high school level, a lot of people don't understand that discussion of you'll repeat your history if you don't learn.
You're doomed to make the same mistakes nobody ever.
Exactly, but it becomes much more clear once you are out of high school, I think, and you're on into the real world where things don't seem as practical. But I'm getting way off on a subject that I feel very passionate about.
Apparently so. Well, what did you graduate with? What kind of degree did you get?
I was a Bachelor of Science business major.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I graduated in the top of my class as Student of the Year, 2002.
Good God.
I graduated in 2002. I'm officially an old guy. Wow. Yeah, I graduated from 2002 from School of Business. Wow, I missed my 10-year graduation 2 years ago. But I didn't
I wouldn't say you missed it.
I didn't miss it. I partied and I
failed to attend it, but I didn't miss it. Yeah, I didn't know that you actually got a bachelor's in anything.
Bachelor's, and then I
guess you have to be a teacher, right? Because
I did teach for 4 years, and I was starting to take graduate level courses so I can continue as an educator. And I decided I hate teaching. I hate it. Well, I went on to teaching in an environment that I guess I found stressful for me. There are some people who are cut out to be doctors, and then there are some people who are cut out to be teachers in the inner city school.
And then there are some people who are cut out to be serial killers.
Yes.
So.
And I am not
somewhere in the middle, right?
I'm not quite cut out to be an inner city school teacher, it seems. And I've attempted it several times, but there are inner city problems that are not things that I'm too good at dealing with because I wasn't raised in that environment.
Yeah.
I was raised in a somewhat,
middle class.
Middle class, comfortable, loving home. Where I didn't have real problems growing up. I actually had wonderful parents that are still together to this day. And
so this is proof that a good upbringing can still turn you into a wacky nut job.
Hey, I can be a wacky nut job, but
twisted and
in the head. But my twisted ideas come out in an artistic way, and I don't actually attack people and stuff.
Now remember, every time you say artistic, you have to say artistic.
Artistic, yeah. Considering the stuff I'm making these days, but yeah, I went from this environment of respect and love and understanding and all this stuff. Let's sit and talk about our problems.
Kumbaya.
I came from a very kumbaya world. Well, not entirely. My mom is from Trinidad, and so the kumbaya thing is balanced out by her iron fist. Wow. She was the ruler in my family.
Kumbaya, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah. Do what I'm saying, or I'm going to beat your butt. Stuff like that.
That sounds Jamaican.
Going to the yard and get me a switch. She's not Jamaican. She's so Trinidadian, and I just stumbled over the accent just now.
Horrible.
A really
good Jamaican accent.
If you want me to do the Trinidadian accent, you have to give me a little bit of rum first, and then I'm much better.
Actually, that's funny. This is one of the first times you and I have interacted on camera where you're not drinking. Yet.
True. I haven't had any booze at all today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, since my separation, I have had very little booze at all. I hardly drink these days.
Well, we're jumping ahead to the separation.
Whoops. We'll come back to that later. But
so you had a good childhood.
Yeah.
You had
a good childhood, and ultimately
and a college degree.
And then ultimately going into the school system and teaching inner city kids where their parents are either in jail or rehab or murdered or something. That was a bit of a culture shift that I was struggling with because I wasn't educated.
Yeah, it's hard to relate. It's hard to relate to people like that,
exactly
when you haven't had a normal childhood.
Yeah, and I was a math and science teacher, so these kids are not very interested in learning math and science when they're wondering where their next meal is.
Grams and ounces,
stuff like that. So yeah, it's been it was difficult and causing me a great deal of stress, and I decided I needed to leave that environment for my own personal sanity.
Yeah.
Which sounds like the quitter thing to do, and so I'm proud to say, I am a quitter. But the thing is, the kids needed somebody who could handle.
They needed somebody who was equipped for that. That's there's a reason I'm not a friggin', football coach.
Some of them...
it doesn't interest me, it's not something I'm passionate about. So if you're not passionate about it, you're doing them a disservice by not.
I was able to reach some of the kids. There were a few that
some of those kids just need anybody to pay attention to.
They didn't have many male teachers and things like that. A lot of men kind of run from the industry. Yeah. So they...
soak it up like a sponge, I'm sure.
Exactly. So some of them actually asked if I could be their father. I was like, that's deep. Yeah. And... I will be here for you as much as I can be, and it was a great honor that they would even ask me something like that. But it was also some more than I was able to take. Yeah. It was a lot, and those were some difficult days. Yeah. And a lot of the gray hair I have today, I attribute to those days. But honestly, as selfish as it may sound, I feel that I'm in an environment that I can survive these days. A lot of people will believe in reach out and change so many lives, but when it comes to at such a personal, when it hurts you as an individual, self-sacrifice is very good, but I think in this society, a lot of people are afraid to indulge themselves as well and take care of themselves. They think, I must self-sacrifice until I'm dead. Well, you'll end up dead that way. Yeah. And it's important to get something out of life, and I find that perhaps I can bring something to society through my art and through what I learn about myself through that. The movies I'm making right now will not add a whole lot to society.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not a whole. That's not an outreach program you want to be.
I'm not doing outreach right now. Right now, in my personal developmental phase, I am not in the outrage place. I'm in an outrage place, and I'm reaching catharsis through my sick, twisted movies that will soon turn into a different kind of movie. I'm venting negativity, and hopefully some people that are shocked at my films now will later come to understand that is the way I see the world in a lot of ways.
It's a catharsis.
It is catharsis, and if there's anything at all that my movies are going to teach anybody right now, is that if you have,
you're a sick bastard.
Yeah. Well, if anybody out in the world has violent impulses or anger and a poison in their own system, in their mental system that they need to get out, you know what? Instead of doing it physically in the world, you perhaps create an artistic outlet for yourself and get it out through a movie. Like my current film, which will hopefully outrage many people. It is shocking, I guess. That current film, those that complain against it, I could only say, when I was jumped by skinheads. You may have heard this story. Mm-hmm. You have not. Okay.
Apparently not.
A few years ago, right before I went on for a concert with my band, I was getting ready to go on stage. There were skinheads in the concert venue. This was at Club Rocks before it closed down years ago. There were a few skinheads that were there. The bartenders were trying to keep their eyes on them. I had gone out to the stage with some of the other performers, and at this point of the night, some of them were pretty drunk. They came out to the main stage area. I happened to make eye contact with him. He goes, "What are you looking at?" And so two guys of the group started coming toward me, and what's funny?
Wait, this is pre-show?
Right before a show, yeah.
In a bar.
In a bar.
I guess we should preface the whole thing with, not only are you writer and director, you are
I'm in a
singer in a band.
Yes, I'm in a band called Synthetic Nightmare.
You do a million frickin' things.
Yeah, I do everything. And everything helps me reach catharsis in one way or another. But yeah, this particular night, these guys, so I'm being rushed by two guys. And what's funny, I'm gonna dork out for a moment. This is for everybody who's played those games, video games where you have this kind of list that comes up on the side of weapons that you can choose between.
Like first-person shooter games?
First-person shooters, like you have all, like
Duke Nukem.
What's crazy is that when you're obviously about, I don't get into fights. I love Duke Nukem and Doom, by the way, but I don't get into fights, and so the first place my mind went was, okay, what do I have at my disposal to defend myself right now? I have several seconds before
I have a drink.
These guys reach. I have several seconds before these guys reach the stage and attack me. Luckily, I'm at an elevation. I have the high ground, and so I'm looking down at these guys who are obviously about to attack me. And
were they dressed like traditional skinheads, like
yes,
suspenders, white shirts, the whole
complete, obviously skinheads.
Which is ironic because there's not a lot of those dudes that walk around in the city anymore.
Yeah, I noticed.
At least not in a club setting where there's people.
I know it's very rare that they're. I've always wondered if they're always complaining about the Jewish media and all this stuff. I'm like, so do you not watch television or anything? Like, I assume you guys are afraid to go out into public almost. So is that why you're not around much? Do you just kind of stay in dark corners and illuminate them with your white walls? I never understood how they survive. I guess they kind of huddle in a circle and look at each other and talk about being angry.
It's been forever since back in the day when you and I would hang out in the clubs and stuff, or see each other in the clubs. I vaguely remember any of those guys showing up.
I never saw them. I mean, I've only been jumped by skinheads once, and that was this event. So
I like how you listed as like I'm in looking back, I've only been jumped one time.
And so I've only been jumped one time, and I have had run-ins with them before, but I've never been directly attacked. So I guess to wrap up this story, one of them hopped on the stage, his fist was back. I'm very flexible. I kicked him in the face, and he fell off the stage, and luckily there was a bouncer within my yelling distance, so I yelled out to him, called for backup. He was right on it.
Where was the rest of the band?
The rest of the band was inside of the venue, not out in the concert area. So it was just me and two of the girls that performed with us. One of the girls got punched.
Nice.
Yeah. I did not. Nobody touched me. I just kicked him in the face, and he hit the ground, and that was that. And
Hadouken!
Yeah. Hadouken! And that was the experience that inspired the movie I'm currently making, which
we will also double back to.
We'll come back to that, but yeah.
I'm trying to build and rein in, but basically what you've gotten so far to me is, or what you've informed me so far is that your childhood was not anything traumatic or detrimental that would cause anything like this. So
no,
the nature-nurture thing, which I've always believed is, kind of bogus most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people are products of multiple things, not one or the other.
Well, one thing I would say, I was raised in a very nurturing, a very loving environment. I look back on the way I was raised now, I'm like,
well, especially really if you were a teacher and working with kids like you were, you see the difference.
Yes,
when you're in that environment, you think, oh, this sucks. My mom wouldn't let me do blah, blah, blah. And then you look back at it. It's like, hopefully the same with a lot of people is you look at it in one term, but as you grow up, you understand there's a difference.
Exactly. What I will say, I got spankings as a kid. Did you get spankings?
My mother believed in corporal punishment with me pretty heavily.
Yeah.
She used to have a board that was like a lacquer-coated piece of wood that said attitude adjuster on it.
Yeah.
And it hung on the wall. And it was one of those, she'd point at it and be like, if you want it, just keep acting like this.
Yeah.
And she broke it over my ass one time. Oh. She hit me so hard with it. So, but at the same time, back then, I thought it was, but... Yeah. When you look back on it now, I've got, stepkids and everything.
Yeah.
Corporal punishment, I think Dr. Spock ruined a lot of crap for people because putting a kid in a corner or putting him in timeout or whatever to me seems like all you're doing is preparing them for unrehabilitated prison.
Yes. You know what, that's what I agree. The thing is, I got spankings as a kid. Yes, I got angry. Of course, it'll piss you off, and it might give you violent thoughts. It certainly gave me violent thoughts because mentally I tend to go in a violent direction. But I channel that through video games. I don't act out towards others.
See, I've never really been into video games past like Mario Brothers.
I love video games. I was Mortal Kombat, man. When I got a hold of Mortal Kombat as a kid, I was like, oh God! It was like Mortal Kombat was awesome. Doom was awesome. All of the anger I felt, I just took out in those games. And I love horror movies. And so when people would come out and talk about how video games and movies led to violence, I was like, you know, if really that was the truth, then wouldn't the majority of the human population be very, very dangerous today? I cannot stand behind censorship in that way. I believe in censorship for young people that do not understand.
There's a lot of things like that that don't make any sense to me, that people try and make connections between things that don't really, like, oh, if you drink a cup of coffee every day, you have a 50% less chance of having this. Meanwhile, it's those same people have a 52% higher chance of, it's just, I think they're trying to make connections between things that don't exist because everybody's always trying to make sense of everything. For the same reason people, you know, put their faith in different things, religion or this or that.
Yeah.
It's because everybody just wants to think they have a good grasp of things.
Mm-hmm. I think at a certain point, well, you know, there are always exceptions. There are many exceptions. There are the people that will blame a lot of their shortcomings and their issues. If somebody's not mentally capable of separating reality from like stuff, then yes, keep those people away from violent video games. If they're gonna see that and go like, whoa man, I just ripped off somebody's head in this video game, let's go out and do that in real life. If there's somebody that's actually like that, they need to be separated from society because they're dangerous. And same goes, like I put that, you look at rapists and stuff like that, it's a mentality I don't understand. These are people who have no respect for life, essentially, and no understanding of it. So,
well, it's that's a much bigger discussion.
Yeah. You know what? I don't even want to go into that discussion. Why would I even bring that up?
Yeah, but I know what you're getting at. It's
when regarding the average healthy individual, not even intellectual individual, they should have the choice of what they view, I suppose, and a person that's mature enough. I believe children should not be watching extremely violent things at extremely impressionable ages, but as soon as they are of an age...
Well, now see, that's the other thing. You're recently a dad too, so I'm sure that changes your view on those things.
To an extent. As my daughter...
for example, like when I was... One of the reasons I decided early on never to have kids was, to me, and maybe this is a lack of maturity on my part, I thought of it in terms of, I would like to have 2 kids, very close in age. It would be awesome if they were twins, because that would really kick it into high gear. And I would raise one lovingly, watching Sesame Street and all of the nice things, and the other one I was subject to all the disturbing imagery that I think would make a serial killer, and see if they actually panned out that way.
And experiment with your children.
Experiment with my children, which is another reason why it is a great reason I did not have children.
I agree with you, good sir. I want to have children, so I have subjects for my experiments.
I would have the kids, and they would be like, oh, maybe the love of my life, and blah, blah, blah.
Wow. So you would be like there are religions that are based on this. Like you look at, I'm not even going to dork out and talk about Zoroastrianism and stuff like that, but the God that has created an angel and a demon to be archetypes, I do not recommend that parenting style. But yeah, I always wanted children. Specifically, I guess a lot of why I want children is because I guess the way I was raised inspired me to have my own children someday, and I believe I have. Wow, I'm going to say this in front of cameras. I feel like I have a lot of love within me. Like, I have all these outlets for my anger, frustrations, and my personal prejudices, that I have all these outlets for those things, that what's left inside after I make a really crazy horror movie or something like that, I actually have a lot of happy, magical love feelings. And I'd like to...
You just used the phrase magical love feeling.
I know, but the thing is, I like that, I guess, I'm not combining magic and love, but,
no, I know what you mean.
But love by itself is one thing that I have a great deal of now that I want to give to my child, and also magic, or a sense of wonder about the world, because the earth is fantastic. And there's so much that's great about being alive. Even at your most depressed moments, there's something in the world happening that, if you knew about it, could be a great inspiration. Like, now I've done some traveling, and to get out of America and into other countries where people are just different, your perception can change so dramatically. Like, the things that you can be depressed over don't exist in other countries. Now, I'm not talking about terminal illness. I'm talking about just go to a place where you will see a magnificent waterfall, something that you, or great mountains, like just things that you won't see. If these are things that you don't see in your everyday life, just experience another
And it's
culture.
not the same as just seeing it on TV either.
It's really not, because I see you're
But see,
raised
now I
with
will say
books.
this though, you can take somebody who's lived in the city their whole life and do that, and great.
Mm-hmm.
But you can take somebody who's been privileged their whole life and who has gone to things like that at a young age, but was never given the guidance to say that this is something spectacular, and it falls on deaf ears or eyes or whatever, however you want to describe it. And that's the thing. Something like that works for you.
It works for me.
It would work for me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we weren't raised by, Kardashian standards at all.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
But to me, looking at people like that from our perspective, I mean, people bitch about people like that all day long. Mm-hmm. But then there's also people that long for stuff like that because they're not filled with that sense of wonder, and they don't see it in the same terms. They see those people as being able to do whatever they want and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But that's not really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Or at least it's not what it should be all about.
The big thing here, I guess that was just an example for what works for me. Yes, but you're right, because there are people who are privileged enough. Like, I would like to be able to take my daughter abroad and all kinds of things, so she will become privileged at a younger age. I was like 25 or 26 before I first went international. And
but do you think that would make her growing up differ from yours enough to make her a different type of person, or a person that isn't filled with wonder as much as you are? Filled with that feeling.
Honestly, I don't think that really makes such a difference. I guess that was because that was an example of my sense of wonder, one of my senses of wonder. I would say to unify all people for a moment, one thing in common. Regardless of how much money they have, there are a lot of people that once you reach a certain level of fulfillment in your life, you want something else or something different. And that could be the truth at any level. I mean, even like once you are no longer starving and on the streets, you may have a desire for certain things that you decorate your house with, or certain delicacies, or things that are no longer needs, you're moving into wants. And then people, the super rich, have successfully gotten these needs. Well, maybe they want something else, and if it's not travel, it might be something else. Like, just an example, it might be yoga, or finding some sense of peace within themselves. Yeah. Then there are those who don't want peace. They might want adventure, and they want to do something that they've never done before. So it's not... I like magic. So magic is a word I would use to extend my desire for mystical sensations to my daughter. Whereas other people... there are different things that different people are desiring, and so it's look for inspiration to continue.
Well, that leads me kind of to the next question I was going to ask you too, was you were raised in loving household, loving family, blah, blah, blah. What kind of obstacle, like, what made you, want to become a writer, director? Like, what started that geyser of ideas and stuff in your head? And were there obstacles that stood in your way? Like, were your parents like, no, don't start doing that kind of stuff. There's nothing to be had from that. Or were there any obstacles, or were they just nurturing about whatever it was you were interested in?
My parents never created obstacles for me in that way. When they sent me, they wanted me to go to college, and all they really said was they wanted me to major in something that I could apply. They didn't want me to major in film or something artsy like that. They were pushing me in the direction
something you're actually never going to make money at.
Yeah, they were trying to push me in a direction of something that I could at least fall back on if I didn't make it. Yeah. And while I was in college, I was saving up to go to film school afterwards. And so they were supportive of that. They would have sent me off to either New York or LA if I desired. They just wanted me to get a firm grounding in something.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. Like,
yeah, and I'm happy I majored in business because now my approach to my art is through a business direction, which I think is something that a lot of artists today lack, and they tend to get taken advantage of. I tend to come at things from the business direction now that I know about the business end. And
well, do you think you'll ever develop that into just doing the business aspect of film stuff, I mean, because you've made a couple movies now, but obviously nothing with like any real major commercial success. But
I will.
Let's say very low budget success, but in the sense that if you paired with other groups of people, or with the business background, you'd be able to take that and say, look, hey, I've worked in film before, I can do this. Like, I'm
already doing some of that.
Okay.
And especially if somebody offers me money. If you want me to consult in a company that is coming about, or how to approach distributors and stuff like that, then yes, I will do that for a fee. I will always need to express my thoughts through my own art, because without that, I have tried to give up film before, at times that I was depressed, and I've tried to give it up, and I discovered if I'm not making films, I drink heavily, and I think about death all the time. Yeah. So, I discovered...
No, let me ask you that. Since you had your daughter... Mm-hmm. Is that as prevalent though?
Nope.
I noticed that. I mean, you and I have known each other for
many years.
A god awful amount of time.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've had stretches where we don't see each other. We don't. I mean, I don't know whether there was a long stretch early on where it was like we knew each other, we hung out.
Yeah. Before I had ever seen your penis.
Well. Who knows how long that would have been.
Have you ever seen my penis?
Yeah, of course.
Really?
Yes.
When?
Which I think you're one of 2 men that I actually speak to who have seen your penis.
Huh.
We got drunk at Wonderland, and pictures transposed.
I remember that.
Not of each other. There were women. There were women involved. Let me be clear on that.
I remember this. Wow.
Yes, there were women involved. There were attractive women involved. So yeah. No, we weren't in the back comparing or anything. No,
I remember.
I've never been that drunk.
I remember this. Huh. My penis has come out at Wonderland
Penis
twice.
recall.
Yeah.
Penis recall.
Penis recall. Huh. Funny. Okay, let's move past
Pull your penis away. It's penis recall.
Put it away. If it bleeds, we can kill it. I don't know why I used that particular quote right then. Let's drop that.
Let's just move on.
Penises should not bleed, by the way.
Well, it depends on what you're doing to them.
Ugh.
Yes, moving on. Oh, crap.
You forgot what you just asked me.
I did forget what I was going to ask you, or what I did ask you. Oh, yeah, about do you feel like... This thought came to me not too long ago after you sent me the original script of what we're working on now. Mm-hmm. And I'm jumping all over the place, but it doesn't really matter. Do you think that the story you put together now, that we did a really big production thing filming not too long ago, which was awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
not exactly a subject, that everyone will be able to palate, my wife included, but
Yeah.
The production of it, like how we focused more on the actual making of. It didn't seem like we were ragtagging it like we have in the past.
Absolutely not.
Especially for the money you were spending on
Yes,
it.
my God. I've never spent that much in one day in my life.
Yeah. So, do you think that you, and I don't want to use this term because it's overused too much, but there's no other real word to use for it. Do you feel like you're overcompensating at all?
Not at all.
Well, let me finish the question. Do you feel like you're overcompensating, or not even overcompensating, over applying this feeling toward it because of the daughter? Because
What feeling?
that you have to do something even more extreme than normal, like even more than what we've done in the past, a little more disturbing, a little more bloody, a little more twisted, because you know what I mean. Like I've noticed, like with the kids that I'm helping raise, I am questioning a lot of the things I do around them in my head, because I'm worried about what that might do to them later on. But at the same time, I still need that catharsis. I still need that outlet. So for me, a lot of times I'm listening to like really brutal music just to get it out of my system or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still pretty happy guy.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not rolling in cash and pissing in gold-plated toilets, I'm relatively happy with life in general.
Yes.
But I need those things. I need the catharsis of, just anger and frustration. I mean, and I'm frustrated at work, but again, end of the day, I just turn it off and I walk away. And honestly, it's more fun to make fun of it and put some distance between you and it to make it feel less real.
Yeah.
Or at least less effective on you. Do you think that you're doing that with some of the stuff you work on? Because in the past, without the daughter, your stuff was, messed up and weird too. But now it seems like you're trying to either take it to another level, or maybe it's just the progression, a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just the progression of what you're doing in general now. Have you even looked at it like that?
I have actually put a great deal of thought into this. I have spent more than 2 years considering whether or not I should make this movie. Before she was born, I was like, wow, okay, this is the kind of film that, my work has not been seen by the I'm not a superstar by any sense of the word. So, I
mean, the web series we did was fun, but it was not as wide-reaching as we would have liked.
Yeah.
But it did have, we did have people looking at it from all over the world.
Yeah, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
As far as the Philippines, that was really awesome. This film, I decided that for my own personal growth and in terms of the production value, I guess I'll answer this question on several levels. Production value, the money I put into it, and the production level that we're working at, it was the next logical step for me. Because I've done really low budget stuff, and my full-time day job is working at a much higher production level than I do with my personal movies. So I'm like, if I can put this kind of time and effort in during my day job, editing school plays and sports, dance recitals, real estate, all this stuff. If I could do that for that stuff, then I should be applying it to my personal craft and making something that people can. I mean, already what you and I have done goes far beyond home videos, but it hasn't really come as close to the Hollywood look.
Well, that's one of the cool things about times right now. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of podcasters and stuff have been talking about too. Is back in the day when you wanted to make a movie, like Kevin Smith, when he made his first low budget movie, when he made Clerks, it was by our standards today a big deal. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't by anybody's standards Hollywood.
Yeah.
to us it was a big deal because of the time he was able to put into it. But I mean, he used what he had. He was working at that convenience store. He was doing all that stuff. That's how we started, and that's how I've always tried to approach things, and that's why you and I think work together really well in the past. Is your ideas
in the past? Because
well, now
we no longer work well together.
But I mean, what I mean is, I'm not working a lot as much as I used to be able to, just family and stuff. Same with you, but it's I see it as. Anybody can make anything now if they've got the drive and the desire.
True. The
technology is well beyond what is even necessary to get your ideas out there. I mean, shit, people can pick up a $20 webcam and have the most popular, show on YouTube.
Yes.
Just because they have something interesting to say and people want to read or want to watch it or want to hear it or whatever. So we're not really limited anymore. Technology and the internet and things like that have really leveled the playing field in that respect.
Very true. We're very empowered in this generation.
I think part of what we need to do, just you and I, or just filmmakers or whatever in general, need to do is embrace the many levels of technology we've got and utilize it in a different fashion now. Like right now, you're making your movie, but are you thinking of it in terms of making a movie that will go into a theater? Are you thinking of it in terms of something that's VOD? Or you think, I mean, there's so many different options now that it really...
And the thing is, you have to consider all of those.
Yeah, and it expands you into something bigger than what, than two guys using a VHS camcorder at home making little home movies back in the day.
Yeah, you said VHS. You know how many of our viewers might not even know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Betamax. What's that?
Yeah. No, Betamax.
It's the 8-track of video. What it is.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, what I was getting at with that really is, it has opened up a lot of doors. What we do is opened up a lot of doors for not only us, but just hundreds of thousands of people around the world. So, us trying to tell a story, you trying to tell a story, period, it's a double-edged sword now, because yes, there's all that technology and we can advance it, but at the same time, there's that many more people to contest with.
True.
So,
my approach has been a little different from that, because that approach, I think the desire to become great and magnificent, if that is the end result and the goal, you can become very upset very easily.
Yeah, people need to do this stuff for them. They need to it needs to be something they wake up in the morning and say, I want to make something today. I want to make a film. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's been like that for me, for you, for a lot of the people we know, their whole lives. Like, you've been making movies and films and short things forever, as far back as I can remember. And while I have not always enjoyed or agreed with the things you've made, I at least respect the idea that it's in you to try and get it done and try and get it made. And I always made jokes about you being the Black Ed Wood.
And I am actually quite proud of that. If I were ever to be known as the Black Ed Wood en masse, I am okay with that. I love the guy.
But I mean, that's the thing, is early on I always just saw what you did as your desire to make it, and just to make it was always more important than maybe its overall quality or even a message that it shared. It was just the fact that you made it was what was important.
Yes.
And back then I didn't really understand that, but as time has gone on, I get it a little bit more, because how many ideas have you and I come up with or written down and put on a piece of paper somewhere that we haven't even revisited just because of time, but there's still little bits and parts of me in there that, like, God, if I could make that right now, it would be so friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to happen is, as we get, God, I can't believe I'm saying this phrase, but as we get older, those things, we're going to look at them and go, okay, we're gonna make this now, because if we don't, that little piece of us will die.
That's why
I make it.
That's exactly why as soon as I have an idea, with the exception of this current one, as soon as I have an idea that I can stick with, I get it made immediately. Like Alien Face Bashers, I came up with a year before we went into full production, And my idea is, if I think it's a strong and great idea for a year, and I can think about it like that for a year, then I should do it before somebody else has the idea.
See, that's how I am with tattoos. I come up with a really great idea for a tattoo, and then I'm like, I'm going to think about it in 6 months. And if I still like it in 6 months, great.
Yeah.
If I think about it in a year and I still like it, great. So far, I have 0 tattoos, with the exception of one in my lip.
Yeah, and if
now, that also comes down to money, too, which, so do our projects. So...
I will make a movie at any budget level. For Alien Face Bashers, I had 0 money, and that's essentially a feature-length movie. For this current film, I have 0 money, but I'm pulling it together, and I haven't ruined my credit yet. I was going to respond to something you said a little while ago. Let's see, and it was something that's not going to come back to me right now, but
you were saying, though.
Yes, I was just saying, what's interesting, what was important in getting these projects made, like, you look back at the old films that I was doing, the really goofy, kind of pretty terrible ones, in looking back at them, I was very different people during each production. So More It Be, I was very young. I was in college when I wrote it, and and so, like, it's interesting because I would never make that movie now.
Yeah.
And then Pantheon Black, I would never write that movie. I just wouldn't tell a story like that again. There are so many, like, as soon as the movie's done, and I've catharsisized it,
New word.
Just made up a word, and once it's out of my system, I'm not that person anymore. So each project I've done, it's interesting. It's an exploration of who I am at that particular moment, and then once it's done, it's like graduating, and I move on to my next experience. And where I found myself with this current film, which I guess I'll just say the working title for this current film, the skinhead inspired one, is Virginia's Fur Lovers. And that title's probably going to piss off a lot of people. We'll see what happens with that later on. But in the meantime, that is based on an experience I need to reach a catharsis with now. And it's where I mentally am. And production value-wise, it is the next step for me. Because I love campy, cheesy, low-budget stuff. But because I have the capability of doing something on a much higher level, at a very low cost, I figure, why don't I try and make something that I could send off to film festivals and approach higher level distribution companies than I have approached in the past. So that's, so I have my cathartic reasons for wanting to do it, and then I have also the reason of what if I can make something that's shocking enough, in this case, to be commercially successful with horror distributors and horror film festivals. So I basically written something to satisfy both of those. And what has held me back from going into production on this movie much sooner has probably been my daughter. Like you asked me earlier, has having a daughter had an effect on this project? And it actually has. Well, it almost had. The script is really extreme. It's one of the most extreme things I've ever written, and I spent a long time thinking I can't make this movie. The ideas had come along. I had a lot of the script kind of mapped out and actually had it written, and then I put it down and I thought, I can't make a movie like that. My daughter's gonna grow up someday. She, 1, might see it, 2, might be embarrassed by it. It's a shocking kind of film, and so for her friends, or she may have opportunities in her life where they might say, your father did this horror movie, and then I don't know, for some reason Arnold Schwarzenegger popped into my head just now as the Terminator, and he got to be governor. So apparently you can walk in a movie, you can walk into a police station and shoot up all the police, and then you can still be governor after that. So I'm like, people who can separate real life from movie life will know better, but that's not how most of this will go. People in this day and age look into Facebook and all these other things, and they'll look into your history, and they'll see that somebody in your family has made a really crazy film. And in the case of a movie that will be controversial the way this one may turn out to be, a lot of people might not care. But, some people will.
Well,
probably
sometimes
be
the
offended.
shock value is what's going to sell it.
Exactly.
Just like TNA sells some of the other stuff.
Exactly. So a lot of my hesitation was, well, should I make this movie knowing that I'm about to have a daughter who I wouldn't want it to have a negative impact on her life, because she may very well turn out to be my opposite and this very upstanding citizen who is only good. The thing is, I could never hold her to such standards. I accept her for no matter who she turns out to be.
Yeah.
But I would not want to damage her ability to
Be whatever she wanted.
To be what she wanted to
Yeah.
be. So
Well,
that was
let
one
me
of
ask
the
you
things.
this then. Since you're worried about that,
Was worried.
or what? Or you still kind of are. You still have that.
I'm
thought.
still making the movie.
Yeah, but I'm saying you still have that thought in the back of your head that this may adversely affect her one day, but you're still doing it because you believe it shouldn't.
No. I have replaced that thought
Okay.
in my head with my where I was about to go with that. That's what made me hesitant about doing this movie.
Well, that's good,
And
but
then-
what I'm saying though is that it's something like as she's growing up, it might be something that somebody wouldn't guess about her. You're hoping like she's going to be an upstanding citizen and da 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 da, and no one would guess that her dad made a movie about
Maybe.
what they're making.
Yeah, I've moved past that way of thinking into a way of thinking that is not necessarily more correct, but when she's old enough, or when she's at an age where she is asking questions and things, or she's approached or anything like that, I've realized I can either have an honest relationship with myself and my daughter, or I can hide and lie and things like that. And I have given a lot of thought to an honest relationship with myself and my daughter.
Yeah.
I figured, I can either lie to me, myself, and her for the thoughts of her future and all these things. The thing is, her future is very important, but we do create our futures as well.
Yeah.
And the power that we give to other people to get in the way of our futures is up to us, in most cases. And so the thing is, if I can't be honest with her from the start, then already I'm setting her up for failure. So I'm going to be true to her about who I am. I like horror movies. This is what I do. And you may have other things that you're interested in that perhaps I might not like. I don't know who she's going to be yet. But it doesn't really matter. She needs to know that she needs to accept herself and not hide herself from... okay, if she's applying for a job and discovers that it is necessary to hide herself, like there are many people with tattoos that have them hidden just so they can get jobs. Same thing with piercings and crazy colors of hair and all that stuff. There are so many crap little things that are inconsequential to whether or not you can do a job that will stop you from getting a job. Mm-hmm. And then in this day and age, Facebook has been the great bane to most people who decide to put their entire lives out there. And then they're like, what? Then my employer looked at my Facebook and now I'm fired, or crap like that.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's going to happen no matter what. So I've decided, you know what? Screw living in fear of damaging a future and having to hide. Really, if you're having to hide from something, then obviously that something is better than you. So don't let stuff be better than you. Don't let any other human being on this planet be so good that you have to hide the truth from them. Just be honest, accept yourself, and then other people that are deserving of you will accept you as well. I am going to live a more honest life now than I have in the past, and I owe that to my daughter. I will accept her no matter who she turns out to be, and I will love her if she turns out to be an axe murderer, I will visit her in prison, but I will accept her.
And then you will blame
all the
yourself
same.
for all the movies you make. No.
Yes, I to an extent will. But no, she is this very intelligent person. Already, she's a baby right now, but her so much of her personality is telling me she's actually very intelligent. She's very independent. The stuff that I want her to like, she decides on her own if she's going to like it or not.
Yeah.
I sing her songs songs that I love that she's not so into. Now she wants me to sing Elmo to her. So I have learned multiple Elmo songs.
It's torture.
And it's totally cool. So she has her own mind. I accept her mind, and I will always.
That's
I will
funny,
be
though.
there, and I'll guide her in the direction that I think is right in terms of, and the way I was raised. I will guide her and teach her to survive in society. Teach her that murder is bad and get good grades and the typical normal stuff. But I will also teach her know who you are, know thyself. It's important. Know yourself so that you don't turn out to be an unhappy person in this life. Know what you want out of life and go for it. I know I enjoy making movies. It's a great outlet for me, and it has been a place for me to learn more about myself.
Well,
I want her to find something similar.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Moving along in my questions that I had some pre-written questions for stuff, but I knew this was going to just kind of go in its own direction. But with that being said, is there something that, because you have a stage persona, you have a director interaction, an actor interaction with people. Is there something that you would think most people wouldn't guess about you, like that wouldn't know about you, or that?
I want to make a joke that I want to become a nun.
Because you said you're not going to live in fear anymore. You're not going to fear certain things anymore. I'm just wondering, is there something that if you tell people, or if you've told people, that they would go, really? Would completely baffle them.
That's a good question. I don't think so. I mean, you might think I'm saying something like that to you. Honestly, I don't think so. That's
how we're gonna answer that.
Yeah, the thing is, when I think about what is something that most people don't know about me, I would underestimate. I mean, of the people who know me, I guess I'd be underestimating what they know about me.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was one of those things. I mean, you're kind of like me. You're an open book. I'm an open question. You answer it.
Yeah. If anybody who asks me a question, I'm quite comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a huge Nicki Minaj fan or something that you just wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what
I don't even know who that is.
And you are open to tell people that you don't know who that is.
I don't.
When we're out in public.
Yeah. You know what? I'm as I get older, I know who fewer and fewer people are.
Yeah.
Minaj sounds like a naughty word.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking she's
a horrible, horrible person that makes a lot of money singing crap. So I
assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, getting closer to the end of my questioning of things.
Mm-hmm.
Is there I know there's an answer to this, because you're actually the specific person I wrote this question for.
Oh.
Was there an album or a book that completely changed the path of your life?
There were probably several things.
But is there one specific thing that you can look and go,
yes,
that went and turned everything sideways?
I think so.
Okay, and what would that be?
It was a movie.
Okay.
Can I lead up to this?
Sure.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Before I was a filmmaker, when I was a little kid making movies with my brother Gavin, I never really considered doing it seriously as a career. I was just having fun with my brother, and I enjoyed doing it. And my favorite filmmaker growing up was Steven. Oh no, I almost said Steven Spielberg. I loved Steven Spielberg movies, but James Cameron was my favorite director. Between the Terminator movies and Aliens, I mean, he was the greatest, and I thought I could never do that. I mean, that's awesome. It's such art. Those movies are so important to me. Aliens for me was Aliens is to me what Star Wars was to most people. Star Wars was, it was cool. It was nice. A lot of people were greatly inspired by Star Wars. I thought, cool. Jabba the Hutt and Ewoks are cool. But Aliens, that was awesome. I never thought I could rise to those heights. So I was not even thinking about it. So his movies are not the turning point of my life. I just liked him. I never thought I could make movies. And then I guess it was either late middle school or early high school, I saw the Evil Dead movies. I thought I could make those, and so I went from wanting to be a writer to wanting to be a filmmaker.
So it was the Evil Dead movies.
It was the Evil Dead movies. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are the reason today I make movies. They're what drew me.
So it wasn't an album or a book, it was a movie.
Nope.
Which is fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is fine, which I can't believe I didn't put that in the actual question, considering it was directed more toward you than anything. I should have assumed it was a movie, but
this is like books. I wanted to be a writer, and then Evil Dead came along. I was like, I can do this, and so I was greatly inspired.
A lot of people were inspired by him.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell is my man crush.
Your man.
He's incredible. He actually is also the reason I'm an actor. Before the Evil Dead movies, I didn't really have much interest in acting. Yeah. Before those movies, I like the idea of working in the industry and filmmaking, but prior to that, I wanted to be a writer. I had also greatly considered being an astronaut.
That's
because I was young enough to want to be an astronaut.
I had two things I wanted to be growing up, and it was an astronaut or an ice cream man.
Or ice cream, nice. So I liked the idea of exploring other worlds, which I love James Cameron because of his desire to explore other worlds, and I was fascinated by marine biology as well. I figured if I can't go to a star system that has life on it, then I can go to the bottom of the ocean and discover life down there. And so that was the direction I was going in when I was much younger, and I still have interests in those things today. And they're interests that haven't gone away at all. As a matter of fact, I'd like to do some deep sea diving or go down in a submersible at some point. And that's why I like to write science fiction. But for the movie Virginia's for Lovers, I'm taking a break from sci-fi and going all horror, shock, drama style stuff. But yeah, the turning point for me was Evil Dead. I love campy stuff, and that was that huge turning point in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can totally see that. I totally see that with you.
Thank you.
Well, getting close to the end here, so I'll go ahead and ask the question I'm going to probably wrap up everything with.
Okay.
And that is, do you have any fetishes?
Do I have any fetishes?
I know the answer is probably an entire another hour worth of answers, but...
Actually, fetish-wise, I have gone down a bit. Yeah, my fetishes have changed over the years. Back in high school and college, nuns. Oh my god. Seeing anybody in a habit, and this is fun to say, I had a thing for nuns. Like, I always... I'm not talking about the really old ones, I'm talking about the young ones that are new to the convent.
The slutty Halloween nun.
The slutty Halloween nun. I'm thinking, they must be so pent up. And what I can bring into their lives.
I want to help them release their pent up.
Well, and it was their... You know what, actually, this is so strange. I guess there is more than just what they're wearing and the on the surface stuff. It's like, wow, these are people who have dedicated their lives to being pure. Are they strong enough? It's a fascination with them. Like, it's a fascination. Can they... There are a lot of people who deny that human beings, are animals. Mm-hmm. People of clergy and strong religious background like to think that we are not animals, that we are something better than animals. And there have been many examples over recent history where the animal nature of priests has revealed itself in very ugly ways. And I do believe that many people who deny that we are animals and come from animal backgrounds, I find that they are the people that tend to become the most violent and pent up. They deny who they really are, and it often leads to something very unfortunate, and their true nature tends to reveal itself. There are those that are strong enough, like Buddha, probably, he's had...
Buddha like the bitches.
Buddha like the bitches.
Buddha like the big booty bitches.
He was really happy. I'm thinking he had something on the side. And so, but the thing is, there are people who are very strong and very centered that can find themselves in meditation all day, which I think is fascinating. I think it's awesome and a great feat of self-control. And people can and should strive for that. But those are probably also people who have come to terms with maybe that we... You know what, I don't think I can finish that sentence because I can't speak for them. I have a great deal of respect for people who can find themselves so centered that they can reach other planes of existence or mental planes in their life and find peace. I think that's important and very good. I would like to find peace myself.
Would you consider that your new fetish is...
Sure. I would like the idea of finding peace.
Reaching a higher mental state or peace. So it was nuns before, but you said it's declining. So there's nothing that really jumps out at you and you're like, every time I see that just drives me nuts.
After nuns, it became boots. I loved women in really, really, really crazy tall boots. It like that would come up to here or here. The way they tended to appear taller. I don't know. I really like tall Amazonian women. Boots are. They put me in a special place.
This is good. I like that we just are able to just talk. That's kind of the best part.
Yeah. Have you learned anything new about
I have. I've learned quite a bit about you.
Really?
I knew some of it a little bit to a degree. But I mean, you and I actually haven't sat down and talked in a while. So
yeah, this is like a nice reunion, actually.
Yeah, that's what's funny about it is it's like, hey, I'm gonna film a show so that I can catch up with you.
Yeah, it's funny. That's my way of keeping in touch with everybody has basically been to get them involved in my movies. To like the getting to see you for this first Virginia's for Lovers shoot. It's like
that's the longest we've spent together.
I know. And before that. I mean, between Alien Face Bashers and this, it's like this huge dip because my life, I don't go out very much.
Yeah, it changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it's nuts. But I'm out more now, maybe? I don't, actually not really. So, yeah, I'm still just doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. I appreciate you being my first.
This has...
You popped my cherry.
I am honored to be the first. This has been great fun.
Cool. All right. I think that's it.
Awesome.
Tell
Thank
everybody.
you.